Yes, I can.
You can turn the volume on.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Mom? What do I have to do?
Wonder if more-
Listen to that.
Where's my volume, Mom? Where's my volume? Oh, wait, here it is. I got it. This is it right here, right? Speaker. Here, I got it. There you go. Thank you.
Wayne may be here a little bit late, so I'll start without him.
What is that again?
I don't know. They might be.
What do you mean they might be?
How's your son doing, Rebecca?
Wishing he can leave the house and do stuff because he's tested negative, but he's got to quarantine till Friday or till Thursday.
Yeah, well, I saw it was negative, which was great news to hear.
It was so funny when he got the test because we went to the drive-through for St. Luke's up in Broadheadsville because we have St. Luke's for a pediatrician.
Okay,
And
yeah.
they come right to your car and they tell them to roll the window down, take your mask off, and they just jam the swabs up his nose.
Yeah.
And he screams, "Oh my!"
Is that the first touch he's ever had?
Like it had to go up his nose. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's had a
it's
strep thing, but yeah. But
Yeah.
Strep throat.
Yeah, I went to Pocono Medical Center to have mine done.
Yeah, I got mine done at Pocono Medical also, and I had mine done because I had to get one done because I went for a test and they required me to get one beforehand.
Well, I didn't have to get one done, except Susie had it done earlier, and she said, "When are you going to get yours done?" So okay.
Oh, see, I had to because I went for a breathing test, and in order to go for the breathing test, you had to get a COVID test done. So
Yeah, well, they have to do both. They can't do the both tests at the blood place, so they have to go to Pocono Medical
Yeah.
Center. You know.
how are you, Sharon? You're muted. I can't hear you if you're answering me.
There
I'm
we
really
go.
well.
Good.
Yeah, this is the last week of school. So that's really good. The kids are finished on the 20th. So I'm just looking forward to being home for 3.5 weeks.
Ah,
Well, we I guess at the board meeting, we got to decide what we're going to do about school. You know.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that.
We shall see.
Yeah, that's all we can.
Hello, Dr. Riker.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Bill.
Hi,
Billy.
George.
Hope your week went well. Is going well, whatever.
It just started.
Yeah, but he's got a lot on his plate.
Always.
Yes. Thank you for recognizing that. I appreciate it.
I wouldn't want your job at this point.
I don't know that I want this job at this point.
They don't know what's involved.
Did you say Wayne would be a little tardy?
Yeah, Wayne might be. He had a closing to do, so I would start without him. Even though he'd like to be here, I just would start without him. Yeah.
Right, because we have to get everything done so we can get on to
Yeah,
executive
yeah.
session.
We only have an hour and all. So if he makes it, fine. If he doesn't make it, that's okay too. Yeah. Well, it's not okay, but yeah.
It is what it is.
We will start promptly at 4:30 then.
Yeah.
Oh, we have no public today.
Yeah. The reason he comes down here is he can't. He has very poor reception where he lives,
Gotcha.
and I've got a nice man cave. So,
And you feed them.
and I feed him. Yes, that's the key. He's a big boy.
You said it, not me.
Well, you can't miss it. He's almost twice of me.
No. That's one. It's just more. I wish I
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Steve,
Good
how are you?
evening.
Hey, Steve. Good evening, Rich.
Hello, folks.
Hey, Rich.
Hi, Rich.
Hi.
And I didn't say good evening to Deborah. Good evening, Deborah. Good evening, Deborah.
I know. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
all.
Nice to see you jump on.
Good to see everyone.
Always holding my committee together. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we got Bill here too, so that's good.
Hello, everybody.
I'm sure he has some interesting things to say.
Good evening. It's 4:30 and I'd like to call the Policy Review Committee meeting to order. The Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to
To the Republic, for which it stands.
of America, to the republic for which
I can't hear a soul.
indivisible, and
I
justice.
have myself muted. We'll do it again.
We're all going different ways.
All right, ready?
Count of three. 1, 2, 3.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to
to
the flag
Republic.
There we go.
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
To God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Okay, we have George Andrews,
Here.
Rebecca Bear,
Present.
and Sharon Glasgow.
Here.
Okay, and Wayne, you said was going to be a little late,
Yep.
right?
He may be late, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can we have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
I second George.
Thank you.
We still need.
Members will reserve the right to add to the agenda and to take further action per the committee if they deem appropriate. Approval of the minutes. Motion to approve the minutes for
Rebecca.
October 19th, pages 1 through 4.
Rebecca approves. Motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
As per the board action taken at the regular school board meeting on October 19, 2020, Policy 309, assignment and transfer, was posted for first reading, read in October, and will be going for final board approval later this evening.
Here comes Wayne. My dog's barking. So moved.
As per board action, so policies tonight for discussion are policy 118-1, online courses. And this is for ESASD, changes as a result of Act 93 and Act 111 of 2019, made modifications to the Pennsylvania Crimes Code regarding the use and sale of tobacco and vaping products on school property. Both acts contained similar language resulting in modifications to 18 PA-CS sections 6305 and 6306.1. As a result, PSBA has updated the definition and provisions in the following policies, items B, C, and D. So let's look at policy 222, policy newly entitled tobacco and vaping products.
Okay.
And keep in mind, the terminology is synonymous throughout the three policies that are coming before you tonight. And we're focusing on B, C, and D for the content.
So we're doing the vaping one, right? We're
Right.
not,
We are doing
apologize.
222.
Jerome, did you want to start with 118.1 first? Discuss the online courses and then move on to 222?
Well, thank you. A big oversight for me. I appreciate
About it.
that.
Thank
See,
you.
that's why you're here. Yep, I'm on 118.1.
this is something that we discussed a little bit actually in finance. Correct, Dr. Vituli, because we just purchased the 150.
Actually not. I started revamping this policy back in, I think, May or June of last year.
Okay,
As it just needed to be updated. It hadn't been updated for many years, and obviously our program has changed substantially. So I just fixed
Will
up
this-
some of the,
will this policy though address what we discussed, where students who may have lost a class because of teachers not being available to teach because of COVID, being able to opt to take a course like this? Will this cover that?
actually, Rebecca, I'm preparing some information for you. I just had a meeting with both North and one of the guidance counselors from or our guidance counselor from ESASD, because I wanted to get all that information correct before I came back to you with our proposal on offering students who have a study hall some courses. So that is completely separate from this and substantially different. So, but if you give me a day or so, I'll have all that information together to present to you later on. All right, there's a number of,
Yeah, so when it says or choose, it has nothing to do with what we were talking about then.
that is correct.
Will that go through the
This is
education
just the general policy.
bill?
I have a question under section 5, under the guidelines. A, non-open enrollment.
Correct.
It says that the Cyber Academy is not an open enrollment program, and the district does reserve the right to refuse enrollment when it is deemed, when it's determined by the nature of the online learning environment relating to the program. Now, wouldn't this be null and void during COVID-19?
Well,
Because
I
parents.
I guess we could say that during COVID-19 being an exception. However, in general and based on case law, that's why I put this segment in there, is because we need to be careful that we don't say that our program is an open enrollment for everyone, because there will be times where it's just not suitable for certain students. Particularly perhaps our special education population might be some of that. But I do see your point during these particular times. You know, we could say that enrollment is open to everybody. In a sense, it is.
Doesn't this give us the option that if we get overloaded, we don't have to, in the cyber school, that we can put them on a waiting list or something, and they have to go through the virtual program with the brick and mortar?
George, that is a process that we followed, but it isn't really part of the policy. But it is a process that we followed to just get control of the enrollment, because we had such a large number of people enrolling at one time.
But I think we should just, and I understand, this is a policy, but for now, but we should just keep that in the forefront. I do have one more question regarding the, and this would be section still under guidelines. The very last opportunity it looks like 3 where it says full, it's in red and it says full-time right there. Full-time cyber students must maintain daily attendance in accordance to the district policy. I just want to confirm, is that 10 minutes?
Currently, Sharon, to be accounted for in cyber, you simply need to log on for a few minutes. And,
Okay.
and your information is tracked. So we say, okay, technically you've logged in. Because students can work on it at any time during the day. They can work on weekends. They can work during holidays. So we were just felt that that's the easiest, well, not the easiest, but the best way to track attendance.
So that's just to track attendance, but we're also tracking work complete as well, correct?
We always do that.
System does, yeah.
That's part of every cyber
That's a
coach,
grade.
cyber teacher's job.
Right. I just want to make sure, because I don't want someone to say, well, they were in school every day, but yet they're still failing.
And when that does happen, we take the appropriate steps. And sometimes that may mean that we have to remove them from the program and send them to brick and mortar if they're being unsuccessful.
No, thank you for that clarification. That was an important one.
You're welcome.
That was all I had on this particular policy. Are there any other questions regarding policy 118.1? Any of the changes or recommended changes, if you will?
Just if, when you look at under guidelines B, where it says right below where he said he could deny people, the next line basically says we can't deny anybody.
Where were you looking at, Rebecca?
Under 5, section B, where it says equity and access, it says we can't deny anybody based on students' disabilities or abilities.
But if you think about it, depending on the disability, the actual structure just might not work.
Correct.
Access is ideal because we want to make sure everyone has access, but we do have to recognize that there are some opportunities that just might not be a good fit depending on the disability
Correct.
or ESACA.
And that's,
I thought about that, but I didn't read that far into it, but I see exactly where you're going.
Right.
And you have to keep
They
in mind,
contradict each other.
well, not exactly. An IEP team can make the decision to not suggest cyber. So we need to keep that in mind. At the same time, we cannot wholeheartedly deny an entire group of individuals. We just simply can't say, sorry, no special education students are allowed. That's where this letter B really takes note.
Right.
So while they may seem the opposite, they are actually complementary.
Okay.
And that's how I saw it, because when I saw equity and access, I was like, okay, it's equal, it's available and it's offered, but there's some determinations that are gonna have to be made depending on. But I do think that's a great observation, Rebecca.
Yes, I agree.
Double take on that too.
Right. And it also depends too, I think, on what's available to the child at home, because there may be parents that can sit with the child with the disability and coach them through and help them through and get that one-on-one attention they need, and others may not. So we have to look at it that way.
And that's where that IEP team's decision and their input comes to be very important.
and what are other districts doing on this? Are they just eliminating cyber for all special ed? Does anybody know on that?
I don't think they're allowed to do that.
No, I think that they do have the programs, those that do have cyber programs.
I agree with them both, George. I don't think other districts can do that. And this literally is the result of some case law. That's where I got this wording as well.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for policy 118.1?
No, ma'am.
So moving on to policy 222, tobacco, newly entitled tobacco and vaping products. The first one is for students. 222 is for students.
Is this just a rewrite of by the PSBA?
Yeah, it's them
Yes.
adding in the vaping products because before there was no vaping products. It was just actual cigarettes.
Well, we know, we went, actually, last year we had vaping products. And we changed the policy, but this looks like it's a little bit more concise and to the point than from before.
You're
George, I would
correct,
say
George.
that
We did add additional language that PSBA updated some of those definitions. So we have added this additional language to what we did do last year when we did add vaping. Okay.
And that's what it looks like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yep,
we
it's
simply
a little
moved
more
to address.
clarification.
Yeah, we moved to address it last year before PSBA got to it.
Yeah.
So we were ahead of the curve a little bit. This is just more comprehensive and includes some of the statutorial definitions that were adjusted.
And then I noticed we also added medicinal marijuana.
Where's that,
I didn't see that, Rebecca. Where is
Two of
that?
three.
pardon?
At the bottom of page 2, you'll see that inclusion as well.
So if they do take medicinal marijuana and it's prescribed, say for epilepsy, can the nurse administer it or hold it for them, or they can't have it at all on school grounds?
If it's prescribed, I don't see this language prohibiting that. It's indicating that it prohibits the student possession of it in any form.
So you said,
Okay. So that means the mom would have, mom, dad, or aunt, uncle, whatever, the guardian would have to drop it off with the school nurse, and then she would administer it just like any other medication.
that's what that's what I'm at, that's the question I was gonna ask. You're saying the student can't have it, but the
But they're
nurse,
allowed to take it should they need it for whatever it's prescribed for, anxiety, epilepsy, or anything like that. They can't say no.
but it has to be administered by a school nurse.
Or held in the nurse's office, correct?
Held in the nurse's office. The student cannot have it.
It has to follow the regular medication policy if that's how it's being used. This inclusion is here so the individuals carrying that card cannot utilize it as an excuse or reason to be in possession of marijuana on school property.
Thank you.
Yeah, and kids would do that.
Are there any other questions regarding policy 222,
Nope.
students? Moving on to policy 323, and this is for employees titled tobacco and vaping products.
Now are they allowed to have medicinal marijuana on their possession? Or is that something that also needs to be kept?
I would think since they're not students, they would be. They don't report to the school nurse.
Correct.
That same exclusion is not included here. You are correct.
Okay.
And you'll see this policy further permits, it does not prohibit an adult employee from being in possession of tobacco and vaping products. They may not be able to use them on school property, but it wouldn't be illegal or a violation of policy to have them on their person. They just couldn't be utilized or, as clearly stated, furnished to others.
What if it's for medical use? Could they use it on school property?
Tobacco?
No, medicinal marijuana.
This is tobacco and vaping product.
Well, where would we do
This
that?
is not addressed.
You vape medicinal marijuana, so that's why he's
We're
asking
not
that.
addressing marijuana here, huh?
I didn't even think that far.
Okay.
You vape it, huh?
That's how, you either smoke it or you vape it, so,
Yeah,
or you could eat it,
Well, we know that they wouldn't be able to smoke it,
right?
right? So why would they be able to vape it? Is it because of the scent,
but if it's for
the
medical.
absence
If
of?
it's for medical purposes, can they do it? Is
can
the
they do it?
question.
That's the question, I don't see where.
It's kind of like just popping the Tylenol. So are they gonna,
I'm not sure how that's handled. If anybody could provide clarity, I
Yeah,
would
I'll
think
look
that
for
it.
clarity. I'll look for clarity on that. Are there any other questions with it that I could try to answer?
no, I just know that's something that's gonna eventually come up with how, it's becoming more, I guess, streamlined and more normal to be prescribed that we should have something in there.
Well, and there are doctors, unfortunately, that will prescribe it for medical use for anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how do we,
So how do
would
we
we say
address-
that they can't take it for whatever, or
That's-
how do we address that?
The way that it's worded here currently on the third from the bottom paragraph on page 2 of 2 is that the board also prohibits the use of, and I'll ... over to vaping products.
Okay.
So in other words, depending on the form in which it's prescribed, as you indicated, it may not be disruptive to utilize it. Some of it, you can get it in a patch, you can get it in liquid, you can get it in drops. If it's prescribed as a vaping product, this policy in its current form prohibits its use on school property.
Okay.
So they would have to make arrangements to use it or request a different form of the product from their physician.
Okay.
But for medical, if it's for medical use, how would the adults use it if they're vaping and all?
Well, they can get it in another form
That's
if they
what
need
he
to,
said.
George.
Novel
It's in a different-
solutions, other ways of administering it other than the traditional ways that, we probably know
That
about.
may be an issue. We may
They
have.
could eat a gummy bear.
Not to focus too much on the dispensation method, but there are several products too that one could argue are best received in intravenous format. We just can't do it at school.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
So I am going to move on. Policy number 707, use of facilities.
But now currently, we're not letting anybody use the facilities, correct? As
No,
it stands,
not
this is
at
for,
this time.
in case we do in the future.
Right.
Oh, look, and here it mentions medical marijuana products are prohibited by federal law. So therefore, they can't have medical marijuana when they use the facilities.
Well, that's federal law. What's state law?
I don't know. I'm just reading what it says there.
I know, but I'm saying, there's federal law and there's state law, and there's a lot of back and forth between the two. So
Yeah. Because in section number 3 under conduct of patrons, we reference state or federal, but then for medicinal, we reference only federal.
under authority.
On page 5 of 8, where it says conduct of patrons prohibited activities. So,
We're now on 707. Okay.
so
Sorry.
here we're mentioning it in one section, we say state or federal law, and then we go down further, it's only prohibited by federal law.
Okay.
So,
You think about New Jersey just made it onto the ballot for it, so
yeah, for
it
recreational
might be
use.
safe to just mention the federal on behalf of it, not knowing how things could change.
Right, but then we shouldn't say on section 3, prohibited by state or federal, it should be just by federal law, controlled substances.
And this is 707 is actually in conflict with the two previous ones, which is.
I know.
So,
If I could just try to clarify,
222 and what is
Well,
it?
but this is just for outsiders using our building, so we can't,
and just note, all that it's saying is that if we look at the changes there in the middle of page 5,
Mhm.
they can't possess or distribute a controlled substance or alcoholic beverage. Nothing majorly changed there, just more clear. But in number 4, the use of tobacco and vaping products. So let's say somebody's in possession of a marijuana product that's vaping, it's the same rules for the employees. They can't use
Correct.
that vaping product. All that's going on further to say in item 6 is that medical marijuana products that are prohibited by federal law.
well, that's all of them, because federal law doesn't allow any medicinal marijuana. It's governed by the individual state. Medicinal marijuana, because not all the 50 states approve medical marijuana, and it's not approved on a federal level. It's only approved based on state level.
So perhaps what we need to do here is clarify in item 6 what the activity is, because medical marijuana in and of itself isn't an activity. And it talks about in the heading, the following activities are prohibited. So are we prohibiting the possession of, or are we prohibiting the use of? It's not clear.
Correct. That's why I'm questioning it.
So regardless of what PSBA provided, let's find a reference
Right.
that we can.
Right, because just because somebody, takes medical marijuana, that we can't say to them, you can't come into our school and, use our facilities, if they have whatever they have going on.
Deb, do you have anything in the notes there that indicate what was is there a word that got dropped? Use, possession? Because that isn't an activity in and of itself.
Right.
No, yeah, this was the exact language right from PSBA. We can check back with Chris Brown and get some more clarification from him if you
Yeah,
think.
this
and
isn't a
hold off on
rush.
Putting this
This-
through, it's no rush. It was just something that these came out actually quite a few months back, but because we had so many other policies, they got
Yeah.
put on the back burner, but we should
Right.
get to them at some point, but no rush to get this in place.
Yeah, because it doesn't say what they're doing with it. It just says
Mhm.
it's there. So are they prevented from taking it when they're using our facilities? Or are they prevented from just having it in their pocket?
Or is
Like, what are
number
they
4, or is number 4 sufficient the way it's written? Because
Right,
it
and we don't
would
need-
vaping it, which would be,
Right.
okay.
So we'll further identify state and federal and the House.
Yes.
Any other questions regarding policy 707?
No, ma'am. Sorry, I had a lot of questions. I apologize.
No, that's great. Thank you. At this time, we'll move to the public participation portion of the meeting, limited to policy discussions.
I don't think we have any public. Unless Rich wants to say something. It's the only public.
Going once, twice, and 3 times.
I don't, no, I'm joking. Just listening in. Thanks.
Perfect. We'll move on. Motion to authorize and direct administration to post the following items noted. And that would be policy 118.1, 222, and 323. With noted revisions for public review during the month of November and subsequent board action in December.
Do we just want to move 118.1 forward and hold off on the other 3 until we get more clarification from Chris Brown?
Well, I think for policy 222 and 223, that
They're okay as they are.
they read appropriately. I think
Okay,
that
those are
the
okay.
question is for the use of facilities for,
Okay.
people on the campus or on the site.
It may
Okay,
not
so
be a
the other
student or
2
a
are okay.
faculty.
So that's the only one I didn't state, 707. We'll get further clarity on that.
Okay.
And historically, we're right in line. 707's never made it through any committee in one run.
Never. So do we have someone to make the motion?
I make the motion to move forward 118, 222, and 323.
Thank you, George.
I second it.
Okay,
Thank you.
And can I make a motion to adjourn early?
Accept it.
Okay,
Our next meeting, just a reminder, our reorganization meeting will occur on December 1st, 2020. I believe that's at 5:30. And thank you for your time and effort.
And I will see you guys.
thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good